let's talk about the Cracker Barrel thing. This is what was pissing me off yesterday. I don't know if you saw, but Cracker Barrel changed their logo. Now, there are a lot of jokes on the show about my affinity for Cracker Barrel. The irony of this whole thing is I've never been inside of a Cracker Barrel in my life. I've never eaten at a Cracker Barrel. I get it. I understand the vibe. The vibe is families, fellowship, wholesomeness. Like it's America, like Cracker Barrel is Americana. You know, you got the logo of the old man just leaning on a barrel, you know, saying, hey, folks, come on in here unless you got Negro's blood. And now they decided, well, you know what we need to do? We need to take this thing that's doing great. We need to do this thing that we need to take this thing that is crushing it and a brand of middle class, Midwestern decency, nuclear family Americana. And we need to sterilize the piss out of it. Now, a lot of people think that this is just stupid liberal tricks from a dumb progressive DEI CEO. She's just some white liberal lady. She stinks. She's awful. And they think this is just a bad idea. I hope it's just a bad idea. I worry that it's something else. And I'm going to go into it real quick and then we'll get off of the Cracker Barrel thing. I promise. But here's the change in logo. You see the old logo there. It's the like I said, the old man on the chair leaning on the barrel. Cracker Barrel, old country store, you know, harkens back to Americana. Those were the days, the simpler times where families just come in. They have some fucking, I don't know, biscuits and gravy is a safe one for a place called Cracker Barrel. And they see grandma and they see the cousins and their extended family for the first time in a while. Everybody forgets their problems they got going on. They sit down at Cracker Barrel. Now they're going to turn it into some weird, fucked up, sterile Perkins. There you go. There's their Chat GPT created, AI generated, generic Cracker Barrel logo. And I couldn't figure out the words. I kept coming back to sterilized, but that wasn't doing it for me to describe this logo. And this tweet actually kind of nailed it. It's from Permaband on Twitter. Said, corporate minimalism makes me exceedingly and irrationally irate. And I feel that because I too am feeling that hatred, even though I shouldn't. Like numero uno Josh Denny fan said, like, how can you bring yourself to give a shit about this? Bro, you're 100% right. And I have no idea why this upsets me so much. I think it's because I've been Googling too much lately. Again, I don't spend a lot of time online when I'm not on the show, but apparently whatever time I am spending, it's too much because this shouldn't make me mad. This is a stupid distraction. But I think there's something deeper here. And again, I'm going to go into my conspiracy theory in a minute. I'm going to back it up with very flimsy facts, and I'm going to probably sound paranoid as all shit. So strap in. You're going to love it. They wrote, it baffles me to this day how so many corporations are so obsessed with it. It's just like with brutalist architecture. Now, my theory on this is globalism. Make everything the same. Nothing stands out. Nothing's unique. Nothing's an interesting brand that separates itself from the rest of the herd. Make everything, because like, if you've seen this logo, you've seen like Holiday Inn, Perkins, all these different brands that have come up with these very generic logos lately. And my theory is that Cracker Barrel represents goodness of whiteness. Just stay with me here. It represents Midwestern values, white Americana values, nuclear family, simplicity. They don't need a $900 tasting menu and a fancy wine to feel normal and fulfilled. They just need an old man leaning on a barrel, some shitty mass-produced biscuits and gravy. They're full at the end of it, and they got to spend time with grandma. They're very happy. It is contentment. It is the lack of need. It is the lack of want. It is the lack of needing those $250 sneakers. It is the lack of needing the $2,000 TV. It is the lack of taking out a 5 or 6 year loan on some big expensive car. 30 years on a house you can't afford. It's the lack of that. It's minimalist. It's what we need. I don't mean minimalist in the sense of the logo or what they're going for. I mean the sense of we're not going to overstretch. We're not going to borrow for this. We're not going to, live on credit cards, shit like that. Cracker Barrel represents the heart, the soul, the spit, wit, and grit of middle-class, old-school Americana that seems to be leaving. This is an attack against it. Now, look, for those of you who are going, he's lost his fucking mind. You're absolutely right. We'll get there. But take a look at this. This is what they're going with. This is what it used to be. Oh, the outdoors, the cabin, grandma and grandpa. The old Coca-Cola ads with the beautiful white girl on the Coca-Cola ad. Nothing wrong with that. This is what the new story or the new stores, restaurants are going to look like. It's going to look like a single white cat lady's wet dream of like basically we are a shiplap kitchen away from this. I mean, it's so fucking bright. There's like, it's too sterilized. The lighting is awful. This sucks. This looks like everything else. And I think that's the plan. Now stay with me. I think the plan is sterilize this, take away any uniqueness, take away any kind of culture or identity that might come with this Cracker Barrel thing. All right, to bring this all together, I didn't want to be this paranoid because, in my opinion, this was liberalism, progressivism, postmodernism, DEI, stupid white lady CEO who thinks that, less is more, whatever, doesn't understand that if it isn't broke, you don't fix it. Everything's going to be fine, right? Until you find out, and again, I know I'm the problem, until you find out that BlackRock has not the majority stake, but the pluralist. They don't own more than 51%, but they are the largest shareholder in Cracker Barrel. BlackRock owns 15% of Cracker Barrel, which is the largest chunk of the company. So I look at a company, I see a company that represents whiteness, Midwestern whiteness, family whiteness, middle-class whiteness, the rejection of consumerism, so on and so forth. And I see BlackRock at the center of changing that and taking that away, using a liberal white woman as their goy patsy. And I understand that sounds insane, but it wouldn't be the first time that it's happened. I understand that I sound crazy. I feel crazy. If there's anyone who thinks I might be onto something, tell me. If you tell me it's time to put Grandpa in the home, God knows I'll understand. Thermodyne Diesel with $2 says, I hope people stop eating there and they fold. Well, now, my lost interest had a very good theory last night. And his theory was, this is a new Coke scam. Back in the 80s, Coca-Cola changed their recipe and they called it New Coke. They just called it Coke. And people fucking hated it. And they tasted the difference. They said it tastes flat. It tastes shitty. Bring it back. So they brought back a thing called Coca-Cola Classic. The classic recipe. Oh, it's back. And they sold a fuckload of the new Coke because everyone had to try it. And then they hated it. So they went, guys, we're going back. And then they sold a fuckload of new Coke. So if this isn't some globalist Jewish conspiracy to kill anything resembling a white Western identity, maybe it's just a marketing scam like New Coke was. Fingers crossed. I really hope it's the latter, because if it's the former, I'm not going to get out of this paranoia. Aaron with $9.99 over on PayPal. Thank you very much, buddy. Appreciate that. 235 away from today's goal. Mudbutt Beardo with $4.99 says it makes me mad because it's a glimpse of the future. Soulless, corporate, and no personality. I mean, I would argue that we're there. I think we've already been there for a while, but you're right. This is taking something that didn't belong to that and putting it into that, basically. Hey, guess where that $4.99 from Mudbutt Beardo put us at for today? That's right, Gray Duckling. 2:30. It's time to go to the dentist. You know, I ate some pizza when it was too hot earlier this week, and I got a little burn up here somewhere. I got a little 2:30 going on. So 2:30 away, time to go to the dentist. Enjoy, everybody. Let's go to the thoughts of the audience and see if I should feel as paranoid and crazy as I do. Eaton Clam says, do you ever make your own food? Yes, I've never been to Cracker Barrel, bro. I've never been there, which makes it all the weirder that I'm upset about this. Packer Backer says, white background, black lettering that says restaurant is next. Well, it worked for Seinfeld.